Introducing Food Finder PDX. On Friday night, we set out to solve the problem of indecision in food choices. Indecision in food choices. A lot of people have had issues determining where they want to eat. Everybody stand up again if you have trouble determining where to eat, if you have ever had trouble. Stand up. So that's the problem we wanted to solve. So right now, a bunch of people are going to hand you our app. We built an app over the weekend. It has foods on it. It's a simple interface, sort of like Tinder. You see a picture of food. If you like it, you swipe one way. If you don't like it, you swipe the other way. You can go ahead and swipe right, swipe left. You'll get an info screen if you decide you like the food. That info screen will tell you things like who else has liked the, or how many other people have liked the food and how good it was, like with a star rating. You go ahead and take the phone back. Go ahead and listen to my business model now. So how are we going to make money? Well, what you just used is going to be completely free to the user. Any user who wants to can download our app, and we have 300 followers on social media who all want to. Our paid functionality for the customer is going to be an additional feature that allows you to pair your app with a different person's app. So say, Ian and I, that's Ian. Ian and I want to go eat together, but neither of us have the same food preferences. So we both take our apps, we pair them together, assuming we have the paid versions. We pair them together, and we play a quick game that lets us see which foods we like, and the system itself decides where we would both enjoy eating. Our other model is selling to businesses, which of course requires a consumer base, but restaurants will and have in fact already paid us to advertise on their network, on our network. Next, well, one of the things we had to do this weekend was customer validation. We had to make sure this idea was a good idea. So my team went out and talked to a bunch of people in person. They found millions of people, not really, but they found a lot of people who liked our app, and very few who didn't. And we also sent out a 100-person survey. Of those people, 95% of them liked our app. So this is our team. We come from 5 different schools. There are 12 of us in total. We have 2 developers, 2 designers, a whole lot of hustlers. That was one of the terms we learned Friday night. Hustlers refers to salespeople. We had a lot of people who went and talked to restaurants, a lot of people who went and talked to customers. A lot of what we did this weekend is we tried to get our brand out, tried to get as many people as we can. So we actually have 700 pictures right now. 700 different pictures that have been tweeted or Tumblred or somehow given with the hashtag FoodFinderPDX. We have 300 followers on social media, all eager to download our app. Our brand has been exposed to over 3,000 different people. And we have 4 different restaurant partnerships like the one I showed you earlier. Our expectations for the future of this app are a fully functional app that not only takes into account what you've seen earlier and incorporates that, but also has an algorithm that learns off individual users' decisions and takes into account those advertising features. We also intend to have a massive user base, and although we know that this doesn't necessarily always grow quick, our business-to-customer model will sustain us until that point. And we do expect our profits to exponentially scale at the point where our business-to-business becomes our main source of income. You don't have to listen to me. There are many people here have said restaurants, companies, investors have all said that they would use our product if we gave it, if it was an option. One of the main businesses that have come up to us is Starbucks actually said that they would enjoy our app. They asked for our demo, which the judges have already seen, and we gave it to them, and we're waiting a response. Thank you.
Great presentation. Nice app, too, for those of you who get the demo. So what do you do about being on the downside of the choice? So if I'm Starbucks and people don't choose me and they choose guava instead? You know, how do you maintain interest and support from people who keep not getting favorable treatment?
One
Or
of
not
the
treatment, but selection.
One of the options that we had considered in this, that we had been in talks about, is where if somebody clicks positive on it, they pay us a small amount of money, for example, a dime for it. So there's no risk in them choosing to advertise in our product. However, the fact that somebody looked at their restaurant or food cart or wherever, the fact that somebody maybe didn't go there, but they chose to look further into whatever product they had seen, should be enough incentive for them to choose this app.
So let me make sure I've got this right, that restaurants will pay you for exposure to your end users. And end users will browse through and say yay or nay.
Yes.
And how much depth is there? I mean, I saw one picture from Papa Haydn, for example. Is that what?
Well, the restaurants probably have multiple foods. Well, even if they don't, we upload multiple pictures of their foods, of different foods, and restaurants that have subscribed with us will then get a like priority queue where their foods get seen more. But I think what your question was how much detail we go into on each food.
Well, for each restaurant, I mean, do they choose to put their like the special up there, their whole menu, or you know?
Well, a lot of our pictures we think will be user generated, and the foods from the restaurants will be prioritized based on whether or not the restaurant subscribes with us, but will still be from user base.
Also, if you swipe right when you like the photo, when it leads you to a list of details of the map, the atmosphere, the rating from other users, there will also be a direct link to the menu of the restaurant that you can then check out.
Do you consider yourself to have any competitors, and if so, who are your competitors?
We consider a big competitor of ours to be Yelp, but one key thing is that on Yelp's website, in their demographics that they reach, the 18 to 25 is currently they make up the least percentage of users of Yelp. In juxtaposition with that, we aimed at our demographic to be 18 to 25 to really hit those. And so small, trendy restaurants that are just popping up all over Portland, they would be able to use our app and reach those demographics that they wouldn't be able to reach with Yelp.
Also, competitors like Yelp link users of the app or of the website to restaurants, which then lead you to food. Food Finder leads users of the app to food, which then they can look at the restaurant. So it's a more direct connection between food that consumers, like foodies, want to consume, instead of Yelp, which is foodie to restaurant to food. Food Finder is foodie to food, and then look at the restaurant.
My question was, you mentioned in the beginning that revenues would come from a split of user revenue and then restaurant revenue, and then after massive scaling, most of your revenue would come from the business-to-business component. So in the initial phases, what's the user revenue? Where does that come from? And after that, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourselves, your school, your area of focus briefly as we go from left to right. First question was on where does the user revenue come from?
Right. So as we said, the business model of our business is a two-pronged business model. So there is the individual who would get revenue from the premium subscription, and then there's also the restaurant-based revenue, which is the featuring in the queue. And so basically the revenue would be, initially we'd be looking to get as many restaurants as we can in our queue, and that creates the popularity from the users, which we can then promote our social feature, and then that brings in the restaurants, and that's how we accrue revenue from the restaurants.
I have to go to school and wonder what you did.
Okay. My name is Silas Campbell, and I'm a freshman here at Catlin, Gabel. And my proudest moment of this venture was coming up with our company's slogan, which is "Choose Your Chew."
Okay, so that would look like Catlin's slogan and then pass it, because we're running out of time.
OES, and I was a app designer.
Honored, and I go to Santa High School, and probably communication with restaurants.
Sophie, St. Mary's, and I did a lot of the graphic design.
Ian, Catlin, app for user confirmation.
Sahil, OES, and customer validation and establishing restaurant connections.
Kyle, freshman, a lot of public interaction, this presentation, the website, etc.
Riley, sophomore, Lincoln, customer validation and thinking business model.
Vidisha Falke, OES, photo editor and social media.
Ellie, junior, Catlin Gabel, the majority of social media, and then a bunch of the consumer validation.
Paige Belt, sophomore at Sunset High School. App development, product design, and app design.
My name's Neil. I'm a sophomore at Catlin Gabel, and honestly, I just told jokes to keep the rest of them going.